Progressive Democrats want a $2,000 recurring stimulus check direct to the people. Progressive Democrats propose a $7 trillion spending bill and tell President Biden to go big and to go without Republicans. Both Republicans and Democrats want to know the true origin of COVID-19, and new research led them to ban certain research in a new bipartisan bill. Yesterday President Biden met with the George Floyd family. They discussed police reform and other matters. President Biden said he is committed to police reform and naming it after George Floyd, but admitted he hadn't made much progress on this front. Within the Democrat Party there are those considered moderate and those considered progressive. The progressive side of the party sent a letter to House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer essentially telling them they were thinking too small, to quit negotiating with Republicans, to quit worrying about budgets and national debt, and to do a massive, one-time $7 trillion bill that encompasses physical infrastructure and social infrastructure needs. This is $3 trillion higher than the $4 trillion Biden knew he would have a hard time passing, so he broke it into two spending bills. This $7 trillion spending bill was proposed by Representative Jayapal, the same person saying $2,000 stimulus checks for everyone every month until the pandemic is declared over. Jayapal said it is time to ditch negotiations with Republicans, can go for all the investments we want to make. However, there is no way the country could absorb another $7 trillion in spending without raising taxes on every, including the wealthy, and every corporation in America. Jayapal said Republicans will support our overwhelmingly popular infrastructure priorities. My community is a very equal mix of Republicans and Democrats, so I'm curious, without saying your political affiliation, do you support spending $7 trillion and how they will pay for it? Please let me know in the comments. Another $1,400 stimulus check to everyone would cost a bit $400 billion. $7 trillion would be like spending 25% of all our nation's total debt in 1 year. Today or tomorrow Republicans will be presenting a new $1 trillion counter-offer to Biden's $1.7 trillion infrastructure bill as well as ways to pay for the investment. Back and forth negotiations are expected to continue until common ground is met or Democrats decide to use budget reconciliation to pass their Build Back Better plan. Democrat lawmakers continue to push for Washington, D.C. to become the 51st state, while Republicans continue to oppose it. One Democrat leader said, "How are we to expect the rest of the world to look to the U.S. as an example of democracy if we don't let D.C. become a state?" I'm curious, do you think Washington, D.C. should become the 51st state, or should it remain a district outside of statehood to manage and house the federal government? Let me know in the comments. By the way, thank you so much for giving my videos a like. I love bringing my community the daily news. Yesterday I told you that Senator Warren wants to increase the IRS budget to $31 billion. Last week I told you President Biden wants to increase it to $80 billion and hire over 80,000 new agents. However, something is not adding up. He said he won't raise taxes on anyone making less than $400,000 a year, but wants to hire 80,000 new IRS agents that audit people that make less than $50,000 to most. So you might not have your taxes increased immediately, but you'll be more likely to be harassed by the IRS. Yesterday I asked if you thought the IRS should be able to spy on our bank accounts and you overwhelmingly said no. New information is coming out about how COVID could have come from a lab. Senate committees continue to investigate and call for deeper investigation into the origins. According to Senator Rand Paul, scientists have been trying to give COVID to bats and other mammals with no measurable success, which is leading some to believe this never came from bats since it doesn't take or transfer in these winged mammals. However, there is something called gain-of-function research which has been banned for many years now. Basically, scientists can take a virus and amp it up so it functions on a much higher level. By higher function I mean more infectious and damaging. Yesterday Senator Paul and Republicans and Democrats worked together to further ban gain-of-function research, and part of the bill was to make sure no U.S. money was given to Chinese scientists performing gain-of-function research. I believe one day we will find out the truth behind the origins of COVID-19. Finding the truth behind COVID-19 was something both parties agreed was important. 80 members of Congress continue to urge President Biden to do a fourth stimulus check direct to the people. However, the White House has not responded. To get his attention, they sent him a letter with all the reasons why it would boost American families and help people out of poverty. The White House has still not responded. Beggars belief stimulus update. Some states offering hard-hit Americans as much as $2,000 to return to work. Some states are offering people up to $2,000 to return to work after the COVID-19 pandemic led to mass unemployment in the U.S. As more than 20 states are doing away with an extra $300 per week unemployment benefit, some are offering people cash if they can land a job. 6 states, Arizona, Colorado, Connecticut, Montana, New Hampshire and Oklahoma, are all offering bonuses to people who re-enter the workforce. Arizona, one of the states doing away with the extra $300 benefit, is offering a one-time payment of $2,000 to people who land a full-time job and $1,000 to people who score part-time gigs. Governor Doug Ducey announced earlier this month that the state had set aside $300 million to get people back to work. In Colorado, it's a race against the calendar. Those who get a job in May can get a $1,600 check, but in June, that amount shrinks to $1,200. Connecticut is offering a $1,000 signing bonus for up to 10,000 people who are considered long-term employment seekers. In Montana, the first 20,000 people to find a new full-time job after being unemployed can get a check for $1,200 after working for 6 weeks. New Hampshire set up a program where residents who get a full-time job will get a $1,000 after working 8 weeks. People who land part-time gigs can get $500. In Oklahoma, the first 20,000 people to re-enter the job market can land a $1,200 bonus. The state incentives to get people back to work come as Republican leaders are calling for an end to added federal unemployment benefits. This week, Florida became the 23rd state to stop shelling out the extra $300 per week payment to its jobless residents, joining the likes of Texas, Missouri, Georgia, and South Carolina. Floridians will no longer be eligible to receive the weekly federal pandemic unemployment compensation beginning June 27. The additional benefits have prompted controversy in Florida and elsewhere in the country, with critics claiming the extra cash prevents some from going back to work because they can now earn more by staying home.